Oops. Oh, shit. What the hell? I accidentally Okay, hold on for a sec. Are you there?
Yeah,
Okay, I accidentally
yeah, there we go.
Okay, cool. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah, no problem.
Okay, because I have the headphone on. Okay. Roddy or Rody? How do you pronounce your name?
Roddy,
Roddy. Okay, cool. Roddy, before we
like Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Roddy, okay. All right. Before we start the interview, I just want to have a normal conversation with you. We're gonna start with a conversation, and anytime we're talking, if anybody have any questions, feel free to type in and stuff. I have a lot of questions to ask you, okay, today, and
No, but
there's gonna be three topics we're gonna go by. The first one I want to make it short. It's gonna be just a conversation about skinheads, birth of skinheads. Second one is going to be about Sharp. After these two conversations, then we're going to go into the oppress. And then that's all the questions we're going to start with. Okay?
yeah, yeah, whatever, no problem.
All right. So, first, let's start with skinheads because a lot of people get what do you call it, wrong information about skinheads and stuff. But we're going to try to make this short, not too long or not take the whole entire thing. So
Okay, go.
the article you sent me the thing about the birth of the skinheads, and I was very surprised to see mods. Like I didn't even know what a soft mods were and the mods were and stuff. Because I
There you
thought
are. You've had an education.
yeah I thought like the mods were completely different than um than the skinheads. So do you want to explain it a little about soft mods and hard mods? How the mods in the '60s became skinheads?
Well, obviously, everyone knows who the mods were. Early
Yes.
60s, they were into soul music, rhythm and blues, and ska music. Everyone has seen Quadrophenia, which was
Yes.
basically the working class mods. You know what I mean? But then come around about 66, 67, the Summer of Love and all of that, the mod movement went two ways. You know what I mean? You had what we call the soft mods, basically, I suppose, the middle class mods.
Uh huh.
They went the same way as, the Who and that, the Flower Power and the Hippie Trail,
Uh huh.
which appalled working class fucking mods. Do you know what I mean? So they took their style, short hair, fucking Fred Perry's, things like that, and they went to the other extreme. They become more working class. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
And so the hard mods, basically the working class mods, the one who done all the fighting on the bank holidays and that, they evolved slowly into skinheads.
Okay. Just really quick on fashion wise. So the soft mods fashion were like ties and suits and stuff, and the working class mods were the overcoats.
No, they were the same at first. All
Oh,
mods,
okay.
but like, they were all smart. They'd wear Levi's Stay Press and Fred Perry's and Ben Sherman's and nice suits and stuff like that.
Uh huh.
But by the time Flower Power come along, the Summer of Love and all of that, the more fashion conscious, I suppose, dandy mods,
Uh huh.
what we call the soft mods,
Uh huh.
they went the Flower Power routes. Do you know what I mean?
Like the hippie and stuff.
The hippie route.
Uh huh.
But the working class mods wasn't having none of that.
Wow.
So they
Okay.
become more and more opposite. As the one lot grew their hair,
Uh huh.
their hair got shorter. Like,
Wow.
you can see skinheads around in 67,
Yeah.
but the name wasn't actually like coined until about 69.
Wow, that's really interesting because a lot of people don't know about skinheads and they think that skinheads started in the '80s, not come from the '60s. That's very
No, we're
very
the
interesting.
bastard offspring of the mods, we are.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. That's why you guys in Skins had that song. Do you remember 1969? Seeing all the skinheads standing
Exactly.
in the
Yeah, yeah.
line. And I was thinking when I heard that song, I go, "What? 1969? That was during the Summer of Love hippie days and stuff." I
No,
did.
no, that's when the
Uh,
skinheads first started,
wow.
back in the late 60s.
Okay, in the 60s, so the in the 80s and stuff, okay, I'm just picturing in the 60s. How did the skinheads dance in the 60s? Because there was no slam dancing at that time, or there was no pogoing in the 60s. And what kind of music were they listening to in the 60s? The skinheads
Well,
in the
they were
60s.
listening to and dancing to reggae music
Uh-huh.
and soul music and rhythm and blues.
Wow.
Basically, listening to black music.
Interesting.
It was like the same music the
Uh-huh.
earlier mods had been listening to. The skinheads just kept on listening to it.
So in the 60s, skinheads were just doing that regular dance like this, no
Yeah,
slamming
yeah.
and no pogoing.
Rock, rocking steady at the youth club, you know.
Wow. So if they were listening to like Jamaican music and black music, does that mean skinhead came from like the Jamaican black culture and stuff? I mean,
Well, yeah,
from the music?
it was British working class
Uh-huh.
culture
Uh-huh.
mixed up with Jamaican rude boy culture, you know.
Yes, like,
It's like we picked up on the way they dressed, you know, the way they wore like pork pie hats and their trousers short at half mast. So
wow,
we
okay.
copied that. Really, I suppose that the mods were wearing Ivy League clothes, you know, from America. You with me?
Uh-huh. Right,
Well, the
right.
way the young skinheads like me picked up on it was through Jamaicans, because Jamaicans come over the earth, over to this country,
Uh-huh.
bringing a style that they got from America. You know what I mean? So they were coming over with Ben Shermans and Stay Press, and we were copying them. Like, obviously, first off, early days, like
Uh-huh.
1969, when I was 12 years old,
Uh-huh.
it was just boots and braces and rolled up jeans, you know.
Wow.
But then in the evening, when you wanted to go to the youth club, you'd put on a pair of brogues and your stay press and a crombie, like, you know. You'd smarten up because you wanted to pull a girl, you know.
Wow. What
But
right.
there was never really a distinction. Like, you know, when you were going out dancing, you dressed smart. When you were just hanging around the streets or going on a football, you'd
Uh-huh.
wear your boots and braces.
Uh-huh. Doc Martens and stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
now what I don't understand is so it with this all this skinheads, two-tone ska, Jamaican and black music and stuff. How then now we're going to the 80s or late 70s. How did it become all racist? How did all the boneheads got involved with the skinhead culture? How did that happen?
Well, the skinhead culture come back before the boneheads and
Uh-huh.
the right wing politicians got involved. It was like skinhead had more or less died by 73. Do you know what I mean?
Oh no, I did. Okay.
We were all growing up, and then we moved on. We all ended up with fucking big hair, big baggy trousers,
Uh-huh.
because you wanted to get into nightclubs and you couldn't get in. Like fucking the skinhead fashion had faded, you know.
Uh-huh.
But then along came punk, and so out of punk there was a resurgence of skinheads, especially when Two Tone come along in the late 70s,
Uh-huh.
bringing the style back. So there were a lot of skinheads who wanted to be in a band, the same as the punks. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So we formed oi bands.
Uh-huh.
Basically, we were just street punk. We were. The best description I heard was, "Oi is what punk pretended to be."
Oh, okay. Like
Yeah,
mix of punk rock and skinheads, right? That was that
yeah, but yeah,
working
oi
class.
bands are just we're just fucking punk bands with short hair.
Wow, okay. Was by any chance was Oi created by Gary Bushell, or did he just made it more popular?
He just made it more popular. Yeah,
Oh,
the
okay,
term came
okay.
from the Cockney Reject song "Oi Oi Oi."
Yes, I'm running down the back street. Oi, oi, oi. Would never
Exactly,
give
but
again. Yeah.
Bushell pulled bands together and put them on the Oi albums, and that's where the name stuck. Like, do you know what I mean?
Wow. Were
And we
you?
call ourselves an Oi band to
Uh-huh.
distinguish ourselves from the punk bands who sold out and went down the new wave route. Do you know what I mean?
Right, right. Now, now to the 80s. How did all the NF National Front got infiltrated all the boneheads? How did that happen? Like,
Well, there were hundreds of thousands of working class teenagers with short hair and big boots running around.
uh-huh,
So, of course, right wing politicians saw them as easy targets to suck into their fucking bullshit. You know what I mean?
uh-huh,
And sad to say, a tiny minority of older fucking skinheads were actually fucking evil bastards. Do you know what I mean? Proper fucking evil racist cunts. But the younger ones, 90% of them didn't know fuck all about politics. They just wanted to go out fighting. And because they knew they could fucking go and run out with a fucking gang of fucking racist skinheads, to them the racism wasn't really an important part. It was just they wanted to be out being hooligans. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
And I can guarantee you, you ask any young fucking teenager who was like into fucking NF and British movement and shit when they were young, how long it lasted. And I'll guarantee 95% of them, it lasted no more than a few years.
Okay.
Their eyes soon opened as they grew up and understood what life was about. Do you know what I mean? But the real evil cunts, like Screwdriver and that, they were just fucking evil, full stop, you know. They were never going to change. They were proper evil, fucking horrible, racist cunts. Do you know what I mean?
Did you ever meet them by any chance? Or
No.
run into them or anything?
No.
Okay, we're almost done with the Skinner conversation. Another thing I want to ask you was, I've been reading a lot about the 80s skinheads in England. Why? Of course, I read a lot of things about Crass. They will come up and attack punk shows and attack Crass gigs and stuff. But wasn't there any skinheads who would back up the punks back then? How come was it majority all just like anti-punk rock? Or I don't get it. How come nobody?
Yeah, well, there was. There were lots of fucking anti-fascist skinheads in the early 80s. Do you know what I mean? But it was like the Oppressed, for instance. When we started, we wasn't an anti-fascist band. We were just a gang of skinheads who wanted to have a laugh. Do you know what I mean? It was only after Screwdriver came on the scene with all the white noise nonsense that we were forced to make a stand, you know? We didn't want to be associated with that shit, so we had to become anti-fascist and fucking fight the good fight. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, all right. Cool. So that was the subject we want to talk about, was early skinheads. Then we're going to discuss about Sharp. So right after we talk about Sharp, then we're gonna go to the whole oppressed interview. So for somehow, before I read that article about Sharp, I thought you were the founder of Sharp. I thought you started at Sharp for a long time.
No, I just picked up on it.
Okay, explain to us, how did you pick up on it, on the Sharp thing?
Well, back in the late 80s, I was running two record labels, Oi Records and Scar Records. On the Scar imprint, I was putting out stuff by New York bands and American bands. And I just thought it'd be a laugh, take a trip to New York. I'd never been on a plane in my life. So me and my friend jumped on a plane, took over a couple of 100 copies of releases to drop them off and meet the people, you know what I mean? Anyway, when I was there, I met up with Andre of, fucking hell, what they called? The Press. Apologies, boys, I'm fucking getting old.
It's all right.
So Andre of the Press, he took me out, we went into this record shop, and I seen these Sharp flyers on the counter. So I says, what's all this about? And then he explained to me what Sharp was all about. Why? Because of the boneheads were getting so much TV coverage, they felt it was important to make a stand and to show people that not all skinheads were racist and don't crucify us all for the sins of a few. I thought, fuck me, what a fucking good idea. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So when I got back to Britain, I had the fucking the Sharp logo, but it had an American flag on it. So I made our own logo. I wanted to do a universal logo. So I took the Trojan helmets from Trojan Records, the reggae label, reversed it, and wrote Sharp in the plume, you know?
That's the logo we see all the time.
Racial prejudice. So all I done was, using the renown of the oppressed, I started sending out letters and stuff like that. I made a load of not fanzines, flyers and badges. And I went to the first International Ska Festival in London. I think it was 1988, November, something like that. And I just handed out loads of things, loads of flyers and calling cards. and invited people to write to me, and I'd explain what they need to do. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's
So what I
interesting.
tell them is just use the logo. If you're going to put on a disco, make it a sharp disco. If you're going to put on a band who ain't racist,
Uh-huh.
make it a sharp fucking gig, so people will know this isn't for boneheads. A, it'd attract decent people.
Uh-huh.
B, it'd keep away the fucking boneheads. And C, it'd educate people who didn't fucking know that there were anti-racist skinheads out there. Slowly, I was getting fucking mail from all over Britain, all over Europe, and eventually, well, like now, every fucking corner of the world have got sharp skinheads.
Yes, I've been seeing that logo for a long time. I'm 51 years old, so like in the 80s when I was in high school, before shop I had skinhead friends. They were like punk rock skinheads. They were called nutty skins. But
Yeah,
when the whole bonehead thing was getting so much media attention, instead of like you, how you were stayed in the skinhead movement and fight it off and stuff, a lot of my punk rock skinhead friends, they started growing their hair out because they were so embarrassed and stuff. But not all of them, but some of them got out of it. I mean, they still had a skinhead tattoo. They still listen to the music. They were just too scared to
yeah.
go out in the public because I think it was Oprah Winfrey's show that or other TV show that had all the Nazi skin. I forgot what it was, but
Ronaldo.
yeah, yeah, that
Is it
too.
Ronaldo? Not Ronaldo.
Yeah, that was in the
Geraldo.
late. Yeah, that wasn't. That was more like in the
Yeah.
late 80s and stuff.
Yeah, like I got that
Yes,
on the internet.
but yeah, we
But
started.
I'll give you an example. What pissed me off? You know not Gary Bushell, fucking
Gary Johnson.
Jimmy Percy, Sham 69.
Yeah, Sham 69. I like Sham 69.
Fucking cunt.
Why? What happened with Sham
In the
69?
80s,
Why?
and even now, he's still saying the same fucking thing.
Uh huh.
He's saying skinheads ought to give it up because it's been so tainted by racism. You know what I mean?
Oh,
He said it as
Jimmy said
recently
that.
as last year on a documentary.
Really?
What's his name who done the documentary here?
Don't let.
Don Letts. Have you seen the Don Letts skinhead documentary?
I don't know. I see so many skin documentary on YouTube. I don't even look at the titles. I mean,
Well,
in the
fucking
past.
Percy's on there saying, oh, fucking.
No, I don't think I
Nobody
saw
should be
that one.
skinhead. It's so tainted by fucking racism. You ought to give it up. Fuck you, you cunt. What you ought to do is fucking fight for it. If there's a cunt fucking wearing a fucking swastika looking like a skinhead, beat holy shit out of the cunt. Make him
Wow.
afraid. You know what I mean?
That's
Don't fucking give it up to him.
that's really
Anyway,
interesting.
back to your interview.
No, no, this is a discussion. We haven't even started the interview. We haven't started the interview.
No.
This is just a discussion. After this discussion's over, we're gonna start the press interview. Interesting is, yeah, same as he's a good friend of mine. One of my best friend from the '80s. To this day, we're still friends. We stay in touch online. My good friend James from Nutty Skin. It was going so bad. He got out of it too. He totally got out of it, and he just grew his hair out. But so after Nutty Skins in California, then we started meeting all the Sharp Skins. Sharp was getting really big.
They were the top boys. They were the
Yeah.
ones who said, no, fuck the Nazis. We're taking it back.
My first time meeting Sharp, I was very shocked and surprised. I think it was 1990, because the late '80s was all Nutty Skins. Then 1990, my friends and I, we went to Martin Luther King, some kind of, I don't know if it was his celebration or some kind of huge parade in Los Angeles, and carloads of Sharp showed up. And it's the Skinheads Against Racial Prejudice, and I was going, wow, this is really interesting. So we met all the Sharps from like I think they were from Pasadena chapter, and there was all different chapters and stuff. But now here's what's more interesting. Some of the Sharps started coming to the punk gigs, and some of the Sharps started showing up to the goth shows. Now what was more interesting is in 1991, late 1990 or something, the Gulf War broke out. It was a war in the Middle East that Bush was involved in. In America, we had all these anti-protests going on. So I'm not saying all Sharp, okay, because Sharp is all different chapters and different, but certain chapter of the Sharp, they came and counter-protest us, the anti-war protests.
They what?
They counter-protest us. They were like pro-war, and they were on the government side. We were going, what the hell? So we tripped out because of that. We were going, oh my gosh, I thought they were cool and stuff. A counter
There was,
yeah.
especially in America, there was a lot of nationalism involved in the sharps.
Yes, they were very, very nationalist and very pro government and
They,
pro
they thought
president stuff.
they thought
But
it was just about anti-racism, but for me, it went deeper. You know what I mean?
and then here's another interesting thing I want to ask you too. Then after that, ARA came out. We started meeting skinheads who were not sharp, but they were called anti-racist action, ARA skinheads and stuff. From like,
Anti-fascist action, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So what's the difference on that and stuff? Are they same as sharp or what? Anti-racist action
Well,
or ARA?
basically, all anti-fascist skinheads are sharp by definition. Makes it, you know what I mean?
Okay.
If you're against fascism, you're against racism. And
Wow.
it's like Rash, Red and Anarchist skinheads, which grew out of New York.
Wow.
The same
Okay.
thing. All Rash skinheads are sharp,
Right.
but not all sharp skinheads are Rash. You get me?
Yes. I have
What
two.
I've always tried to put across is it doesn't matter if you're Rash or if you're fucking sharp. If you're fucking fighting against horrible fucking cunts, you're all right in my book.
Okay, before we start the interview, I have two more short stories to tell you. I have two more stories.
Go ahead.
You were talking about RASH, okay? Now, RASH
Yeah.
stands for Red Anarchist Skinheads. I don't know anything about RASH until a couple years ago, not that long ago. I was very shocked, actually. At first, I was shocked. What happened was a while back, we did not that long ago, maybe 8 years ago, we did like a punk rock event called Solidarity Festival. And we asked for help doing security, and brown berets came and did security. So that's a political organization. But anyways, as a couple years went by, then I met these two guys from Brown Berets, and they left that Brown Beret organization. They became Rash Skinheads. I never heard of Rash, and they said Rash is red anarchist skinheads. I go, what? Red anarchist? So what are you guys into? And so they were into communism and anarchism. But then I had tripped out because they also had I went to their pad because they were giving me a ride somewhere because I was visiting LA, and then at the house they had a communist flag and a Mao. They had a picture of Mao. I don't know. So, oh my gosh, I was shocked to see that. Are all Rash like that, like communists or?
Well, personally, the problem you Americans got is you had McCarthyism in the 50s, and you've all
Right.
been shit scared of communism ever since. Do you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Communism got fuck all to do with Russia or fucking China or fucking North Korea. Communism is I don't know, it's a political status, I suppose, where you just believe that everyone should be fucking equal. You know what I mean? People ought to gain from the fruits of their labour, not slave like cunts their whole life and never get anywhere. Do you know what I mean? That's the basis of communism. You could call it socialism. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? You don't have to put fucking. It's nothing to be afraid of, basically, is what I'm saying. You know, because like if you look at it, the Soviet Union as was, it was never communist. It was always a fucking fascist regime. They just used the term communism. Fucking China, it isn't a communist state. It's a fucking fascist state. It's ruled by the top man, and everything he fucking says goes. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
True communism is about fucking ordinary people working for the benefit of ordinary people. And you Americans, you need to stop worrying about it. It's not a
Okay.
fucking problem, I'm telling you.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Just maybe it's the American stuff who are not really that educated. I don't know too much about communism either. Only like the whole the dictatorship of that. What you mentioned about the country like Mao and China and like North Korea and Russia and stuff.
Yeah, well, they're all fascist dictatorships. They're
Yes.
not fucking true communism. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like me, I wouldn't call myself a communist. Like the furthest I'd go politically is to say I'm a socialist. I
Wow.
believe
Okay.
that everyone should have a fair crack of the whip. Do you know what I mean? I
Yes.
don't think it's right the fucking billionaires should have all this fucking money while people are starving to death. To me, it's a fucking sick world we're living in. What we need is a fucking people's revolution, like they done in France. Chop the fucking heads off the rich cunts and spread the wealth.
Okay. But by any chance, Redskins, is that a that's a band, right? Redskins.
There was a band called the Redskins, yeah.
Were they a communist skinhead band, or
No, they were socialists.
oh, they were socialists? Wow. And
Yeah, yeah.
how about what
Which
about
I suppose you could just say socialism is communism with a small c. See, depending on what way I'm going round in the picture.
wow? And what year was this when Redskins were around?
That was the early 80s, the Redskins were around.
Wow. So was Angelic Upstart's socialist skinheads as well?
Yeah, the Upstarts, Red London. Oh, there was a fucking quite a few
Wow.
socialist skinhead bands in the 80s.
This is really interesting because me and a lot of my friends, like who are into anarcho punk, when we think about skinheads, I mean, because what happened in the 80s, mostly we would think about really nationalist, patriotic, against socialism, against communism and stuff. But wow, that's interesting though. But after meeting all the skinheads and we started thinking about all that. Okay, before we start the interview, I have one more story to tell. The interview hasn't even
Go ahead.
the interview hasn't even started yet. Okay, this is a long time ago. Then in the actually there was a in California there was a gang called Unity Skins. I was at a show in the 90s in Huntington Beach. I had my hair all spiked up, and this really big bald head guy, he was coming around, walking around, and boom, smacking my head. I go, whoa, what the hell? So I just ignored him. I was walking around the show, big giant bald head guy. Boom, he smacked my head again. I was going, fuck, I spent so much time doing my hair all spiked. Why does it keep smacking my head? So then I was in the restroom. Then I saw the big guy in the restroom too. And I said, excuse me, I was wondering why you keep smacking my head for. And he got on my face. He goes, what? Because I'm from Long Beach, fool. And he started talking.
I'm a what?
He said he was from Long Beach, like a city. And he pushed me on the wall. And I said, hey, I don't want to fight you. I just wanted to know why you kept smacking my hair. Because, you know, so he was saying, what? Like, he got all mad at me. Then on the background, I saw all these bunch of, couple of the bald head guys, back of him. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, I am going to die. And I said, and he trapped me like this in the corner. He would not let me leave. And I was thinking, okay, I'm going to get jumped. I'm going to get beat up. But before I get beat up, I have to at least get one punch. I have to throw that one punch. So I ducked down. I ducked down my head and I threw that punch. But, you know, I didn't know how to fight back then. I'm a skinny guy. The punch didn't even do nothing to him. I threw it, punch him. And then on the top, he landed on me, and which means his whole body pressed me down. Then I started hearing pop, 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 and I was down. And they were hitting him. And I looked
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
I looked up, and there were Unity Skinheads, and his name is Gonzo. And I got up, and this guy's big, and they kept punching him. And I said, oh my gosh, I thought you were his friend. I was wondering, why'd you back me up? And they were saying, Gonzo from Unity Skins was saying, we just wanted to make sure you stand up for yourself or not. So we were watching. So we're glad you stand up for yourself.
No.
And Gonzo is still around today. He puts out shows, I think somewhere in Riverside. I don't know, somewhere. He's still around today from Unity Skins. Every time I see him, I would say, oh, thank you so much, Gonzo, for jumping in, helping me out and stuff.
Respect to the Unity crew.
Yeah, they're called they're called Unity. Yeah, they're Unity. It was a gang from the 90s. I don't think they're around anymore because last thing I heard was they were getting really big, and one of them was on the news for like, this is a long time ago. One of them was on the news for like some kind of bank robbery or something. I don't know, some kind of bank robbery. So after that, it was gone. So I just had to tell you that story. Okay, for those of you who just joined us, we were just having a regular conversation with Roddy from The Oppressed. It's been like half an hour already, and we haven't even started the interview. Okay, now we're gonna start the oppressed interview. Are you ready for the interview?
Let's have it.
Okay, this is the interview we're gonna start now. So I got some of the questions here, and also I'm gonna read off a couple of the questions my friends from Facebook has as well. Okay, so these questions gonna go jump back and forth and stuff. And if anybody has a question on Instagram too, just type it in. Okay, I was reading your bio from the Oppressed, and it says in 1981 you were released from prison, and this is very interesting because you got out of prison. I don't know how long you were in there for. How
I
was
served 12 months.
12? That's 1 year. How was the prison politics in England? Because in America you could. It was crazy, all these different gangs, and you can't talk to certain people and stuff. When you were locked up
Yeah,
in
there was none of
81.
that whatsoever. Nothing whatsoever like that. We
Oh,
were all
okay.
prisoners.
Oh,
Nobody gave
okay.
a fuck what you were or what color you. Nobody cared.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So then it was different than England and America. And another question I had, I was reading your bio from the band. You mentioned you started a band with two punk rockers and a skinheads and stuff. And you mentioned Ed Fleming on drums. By any chance,
Yeah,
is that Ed from Icons of Filth?
yeah. He drums with my punk band. No, we got a sideline called
My gosh.
Personality Crisis. We play all New York punk stuff,
Uh huh.
and Ed's the
Wow.
drummer.
Because you guys are from the
So
same
yeah,
city then, right? Live in the same city.
yeah, we're both Cardiff boys.
Does he still look like a Viking now?
Yeah, he's a fucking nutcase.
Yes, he is. Yes, last time I saw him was like 10 years ago. He came over. Him and his mates came over to my pad. We had a big vegan potluck party and everything. Wow,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
I was,
He's a madman.
he's there.
Ed, you're fucking crazy.
I'm gonna send you this video to Ed as well because I'm gonna upload it on YouTube. Do you know Ed was a bodybuilder for a little bit, and
Yeah, yeah.
he sent me the pictures. Go like it was so funny. Wow,
That's
that's
him, yeah.
interesting.
Well, the singer in the band, Personality Crisis, is a guy called Patch, and he was with the Reformed Icons of Filth with Ed a few years
Oh,
back.
wow, interesting. Wow. And then you mentioned about Insanity Squad and you said two punks and two skin. First skunk band. What is a skunk?
Skinhead punk crossover.
Wow, we don't really we I don't think we use that in America, the word
Yeah, well,
skunk.
if you look at the early Oi stuff, like the early 80s, you'd see like a lot of people who were like half punk, half skinhead.
Uh-huh.
You know, they'd have Dr. Martens, rolled up jeans, a flight jacket, and spiky hair.
Wow.
They were like half skin, half punk.
Wow. Okay, so in the 80s with the oppressed, how long did it last for just from the 80s? Was it 2 years? Did I read that correctly?
About 3 years, the first incarnation.
Uh-huh.
The band formed in March, no, about the summer of 81. And by the summer of 84, it was all over.
But in that 3 years, did you guys go to any UK tour the UK at all?
No, we never toured. We only played the odd gig on a weekend.
Wow, you guys never tour or never played in London or anything like that?
Oh, every now and then we'd pop up to London and do a gig. But like I said, we wouldn't tour. We just play odd gigs on a weekend.
Uh-huh.
The same now, we only play weekends.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. Okay.
We've only ever played one tour, and that was 3 gigs in Southeast Asia.
Oh, in Asia. That was like later
Yeah.
on though, right?
Oh, yeah, that was like about 8 years ago.
Okay, I'm gonna come back to that. I'm gonna ask you some questions
All right,
about
we'll go
Asia.
back to the 80s.
Okay, we're going step by step. We're still in the 80s and stuff. Okay, then now Joey from Headdress, it's a peace punk band from Southern California. I was talking to him on the phone yesterday, and he told me that, I mean, before I read the article, he told me that you signed Oi Polloi to do their full album when Oi Polloi was an all skinhead band.
That's right, they were little baby skinheads.
Uh-huh.
I started my label around about 1985.
Uh-huh.
And Oi Polloy sent me a tape, and I loved it.
Uh huh.
So I said, I'll put it out for you. Simple as.
And OE Records was your own label.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, because I was Googling it. The first time I heard The Oppressed was when I was in high school. It's from a compilation album. It was called This Is Oi, Street Punk Compilation. And on that
I,
had, and I found out that was from your label.
yeah, yeah.
Wow, that is interesting. What other bands did you put out on that on your label called the Oi Records?
Well, the first release was a band called Complete Control,
Uh huh.
an album called Bricks, Blood and Guts in 1985.
Uh huh.
Well, the singer of that band was Matty Blagg from the Blaggers.
Uh huh.
So he moved down to London, formed the Blaggers, and then I put out their first album a couple of years later. So who else was on it? Oi Polloi, the Blaggers, band called the Magnificents. They were really fucking good. There was one or two mistakes along the way, because what you got to remember is, for instance, I put out fucking Condemned 84, who turned out to be a bunch of cunts who play with anyone. Do you know what I mean?
Oh no, I
Ultimate,
didn't know that.
the ultimate fence walker band.
Uh huh.
But when I put them out, they were an unknown band. They'd never had any releases. They told me that they fucking hated the Nazis. They didn't want anything to do with that shit. So I got fair enough.
Uh huh.
But then after, a few years later, they moved into the fucking scene and they'd play with Nazi bands and fucking shit like that, you know?
Wow, interesting.
But with hindsight, I would never have fucking put them out.
Uh huh.
But at the time, I didn't know them. They told me they didn't fucking want nothing to do with the Nazis, so I put them out. But there we go. We all make mistakes. You know what I mean?
Right. Then when I was in, I didn't have this record, but it was a full album of the press. It was like a shadow. You guys all standing together, but it's a shadow. It was a full album. On that album, was was there were no drummer because it sounded like a drum machine.
No, no, this fucking.
Everybody told me it's a drum
What happened
machine.
was
You guys didn't have a
we
drum.
got to the we
Okay.
got to the we got to the studio.
Uh huh.
Little Lee, who was like, I think he was 17 years old at the time, our drummer. He had his drums in the back of the van. It was like 4 flights up to the studio.
Uh huh.
When we got there was a Simmons electronic drum kit set up, ready to go.
Oh, okay.
And I said, oh, fuck it, I'm not helping you with that. We'll use that fucking thing. So it's Lee Jenkins. He's actually playing the kit, but it is an electronic drum kit. I
Oh,
loved it. I thought it made a lovely sound.
wow. That's interesting. That's why it sounds like a drum machine. It was actual drumming. Okay.
Yeah, one of the very first. It was called a Simmons.
Okay. Wow. Now here's an important question I want to ask you. ACAB. It comes from the song Chaos from the Foreskin. Now the
No,
ACAB.
ACAB is a separate song to Chaos.
Oh, no, I'm
It's
sorry. I'm
another
sorry.
song.
Yes,
That's
there's a
all right.
ACAB. Yeah. So anyway, ACAB. A lot of people are using that now at political rallies or demonstrations and anti-police protest demonstrations. A lot of people are using that here in America. I wanted to know who came up. Oh, okay. So I wanted to know who came up with the ACAB slogan. Was it the Foreskins or was it the soccer hooligans?
But ACAB have been around as long as I've been alive, I suppose. People always have said all coppers are bastards.
Oh, okay. So it came from the soccer hooligans or something, or?
Well, no, the soccer hooligans just got it from their fathers would have said it. Or everyone, It wasn't something that anyone made up. It was just a saying, all coppers are bastards. It was just a fact.
Oh, so that slogan had always been around. Okay, sorry. I thought it came from either the Foreskins or like the soccer hooligans. Okay, I'm glad you explained that. And another questions I have,
When I was a kid, there used to be a football song. I'm trying to think of it now. What is it? It came from a baked beans advert.
uh-huh,
I know it's ridiculous. The baked beans advert, they were baked beans, beans in tomato sauce,
uh-huh. Yes,
and they were made by Heinz.
yes.
The advert was a million housewives every day pick up a tin of beans and say, beans means Heinz. But
Okay.
at the football, we'd all sing, a million housewives every day. Pick up a tin of beans and say, all coppers are bastards.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Also, during that time in the 80s when Oppressed was playing and stuff, were you friends with like Info Riots, Last Resort, Cockney Rejects, The Business? Did you play with these bands at all?
No, the only one we played with, early on, we played with the band The Business.
Oh, Business. Okay.
Somebody in, yes, some skinhead in Bridgend, about 25 miles outside Cardiff.
Uh huh.
He'd organised the gig. So we went up to support The Business.
Uh huh.
We got on with them great. They were really good boys, you know. But we took about fucking, I don't know, maybe 80 Cardiff boys with us.
Uh huh.
And they took fucking West Ham fans with them.
Uh huh.
So you can imagine what happened.
Like Clash and stuff.
Cardiff and West Ham went for it. Like the gig itself was okay.
Uh
You
huh.
know, we played, The Business played, but then once the fucking it was over, it all kicked off. Like,
Wow.
but apart from that, I think they were about the only band that anyone had heard of that we'd played with.
Okay. Business does. Later on, Business did Crass cover song. Do they owe us a living? Like some of the oi bands do like punk cover songs, or I was surprised the Business doing that. But have you noticed none of the anarcho punk bands they don't do any oi cover songs and stuff? I don't know any
That's
anarcho
because
bands.
we're shit.
That's why that's just strange. I have more questions, but I'm gonna read this off from other people's questions because I don't want to go
Yeah,
all
go
by
ahead,
the way.
go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna read other people's questions, then I'll come back to my question, and I'm gonna mention their names and stuff. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna open. This is from my Facebook wall. Okay, let's see, where did it go? Okay, this is from Lorenzo Corsi. What I did is on my Facebook wall, I said, does anybody have any questions and stuff that I was going to interview you? Okay, from
Go ahead.
Lorenzo
What does
Corsi.
Lorenzo want to know?
Very important band. I got to see them a couple times along the years. As a youngster, most of the local friends were sharp, and I was the only one into anarcho punk. So for me, ask him what was his relationship with the anarcho punk scene of that time, if there was any. Did he know about the cover Nausea New York used to make of one of their songs? Can't remember which one right now. Has he has he pleased by that? Have you heard that song from Nausea? They did a press cover.
No, I've never heard Nausea. I
Okay.
might have heard it and forgot because there's been so many bands that have covered the oppressed stuff.
Uh-huh.
There's a couple of like tribute shows with like bands from around the world covering my songs. I'm so fucking proud. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But Nausea don't ring a bell at the moment.
Maybe it was a
But
lot.
what he was saying about punk and that, when we were first practicing up in Ducky's bedroom, Icons of Filth, well, they were called Atomic Filth at the time. They used to rehearse in Ducky's bedroom as well.
Oh, really?
One of their first gigs they played was with the Oppressed.
Oh.
But it wasn't until later when we come back in the 2000s and started touring around Europe and the world and shit, we started meeting up with lots of anarcho bands because the sort of gigs we play, they're like open house. We always share the stage with whoever wants to play. Do you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So our gigs, the audiences, is always a mix of fucking skinheads and punks and fucking but all sorts of non. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a total fucking mix. Because the whole idea of Oi, in the first place, it wasn't about fucking just skinhead bands. It was like any working class fucking bands were Oi bands. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They could be punk, they could be skinhead, it didn't matter. We were all fucking friends together, like.
Okay. All right. Next one is from Random Martin. Can you hear me? I think the screen froze. Hello? I can't hear you. Can you hear me? You know what? I'm going to type it in. I can't hear you. Hear you. Huh. Maybe we might have to turn, restart. Okay. I'm gonna